So we're back at the Mother Lode mine. I was here a couple of years ago, but I looked at that film and it wasn't very good, so we decided to come back with the better equipment and with the drone. So this is a great big open pit mine now, but there's quite a lot of stuff underneath it that it's all been mined out, and we'll take you underground and show you what it looks like under there. The main shaft goes straight down 500 feet, and I've heard from somebody that it was actually cemented off. So we're going to see if we can find that. Managed to get some pretty cool shots from the air with the drone, so that looks like an open pit now. It's a big hole, and it's kind of an interesting history to this mine. So it was mined for quite a long while, and all this ore went to Greenwood, to the smelter there. And then back, I think around 1910, they decided they were going to have a huge explosion. They drilled 4,200 holes and put 25 tons of dynamite in there, one of the biggest explosions to the date at the time. And basically they wrecked this mine. They just blasted so much stuff in there, it covered up a lot of the good ore that they had. It really diluted the ore. So we're just kind of flying over this. You can see all these holes. So we're going to go into a whole bunch of these holes, and you see that there's a big slide here, all that rock there. And I think that is actually where the main kind of one of the main mine levels were, and it's sloughed in there. And you can see it inside when we go inside where this big slide is in there. And there was a big shaft here, but it's been cemented off. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. So we've got kind of two parts to this video. We're going to go into a bunch of these shallow surface holes that don't go very far. And there's an air shaft way inside on the other side of the mine that goes down quite a long ways and goes all underneath the pit and all that. So that's pretty interesting. We'll show you that. There's big ballrooms and stuff in there. And it's flooded. The pit is at the 60-foot level. And then, so then the next level underneath there, which we'll get into, is the 200-foot level. And below that is flooded. So the mine goes down another 300 feet, but you can't get down that far. So, and the other thing we did is we got these DJI goggles. You put these goggles on and you can fly as if, you know, you're in the machine, which makes it pretty neat for filming. So you can really kind of check out all these little holes, and you don't have the glare from the screen or anything. That big hole there, I hiked up to that, and it doesn't go in very far at all. Just going a little ways, and it dead ends. There was a railway that went from the mine right to Greenwood, which is, I think, only about 3 or 4 miles away to the rail. And then all this material here fed the smelter at Greenwood. So you can see, we'll show you the tailings. They had a big tailings pile there because they had a concentrator there. And they mined this right up. I think they fooled around a little bit into the 70s. So there was a town here at one time, and there was a whole bunch of buildings, and so a railway up there. So there's a couple of guys that are living there that's got a bunch of junk cars, but I don't think they own the land. Arnie there, but he's yeah, there's no problem. Just kind of check in with him. He doesn't mind you being there or whatever. So we had no issues as far as getting in there. I don't know what the current status is and who actually owns the that mine. So there's actually about 3 mines altogether: the Mother Lode, the Silver Queen, and the Sunset. They're kind of all together in the same area there. This here is the very lowest part in the pit. You'll see it from inside. We'll go in with these little holes here, but it doesn't really go in too far. There is a hole way up on the mountain up there, but we hiked up there and couldn't get through there either. So there's a road kind of goes down along where the shaft was. The shaft is covered in now, and all this stuff had been blasted shut. So there is the shaft, or the attic we can go into a little ways. Doesn't go in very far. And then the main part of the mine was straight down below us right there. And you see there's a bunch of huge rocks in there. Up there was a bit of a bench there. That's where they had the plug in. Where it used to be the main shaft went straight down. And those are lower levels, but they're all blocked off also. And this is where the main shaft was. But it's all kind of imploded and sealed off today. Oh look, Dirk, we struck gold. Look at that, eh? Pretty shiny looking pyrite. They look like gold?
Yeah, fool's gold.
Here's another shot at some of this mineralization along the edge of the pit. So as you can see, there's a fair bit of copper in there, eh? You know, obviously not enough to be worth mining, but looks good to me. But what do I know, right? So Alright, I'm here with Dirk, and we're just going to go in this one adit here, and we can show you what is in this part of the mother lode. It doesn't go in too far, but we can show you what's here. Most of the main shaft has been filled in. The two spots, the big air shaft that we'll get into in a bit, and this was part of the main hull level. So here was an old cart. Much left of it here, but there's would have been axle and stuff for a cart. And then there's a spot here that has some ore bins. I actually went in there before. Yeah, but I tried to block it off, but we were able to get in there. It doesn't go in very far. So this is certainly going to be interesting. This is something that we're going to need our rope gear for, and we can head straight down there and check this out. So our adventure has kind of begun here. We have all our gear on. We're heading down this shaft. Now this is the mother lode, so we're down the first part of the shaft. Now one thing we're going to show you is this light. So this is a through the night TG20, and they just gave me to try out. So we're going to try it out, and so always the problem is with the lights that we have. Let's see, it's a little bit of a pain, but you turn it on, and you give it two quick things, and it's a turbo boost mode. And we'll see how bright this is. So, oh yeah, that doesn't work too bad. Lights up pretty good. So the light, the Fenix light we have is 1,000 lumens. This one's supposed to be 3,800. So we use this to light up some of this stuff. So we've been in this mine before, a couple of years ago when I first started filming, but I looked at the film that I had and I thought it was just terrible. So the idea was to go back into this cool mine and show you with a little better camera and some better skills and filming this kind of stuff, and we'll show you what we can find here. Yeah, pretty fair sized stope in here, and it's sure nice to have the extra light. Be a little careful here. There's a ladder. I remember we seen that ladder. We came up that ladder from the bottom part. So it'll be interesting to see if we can see any bats in here. So pretty fair sized stope. This goes down about 200 feet, if I recall correctly. The 200-foot level below the pit. So everywhere else under the pit is pretty much all completely sloughed in. But we'll see what we can show you here. Oh, there's some sulfides in here. Wow. That's probably the 200 level, so we're probably looking at 300 feet. I bet you there's about 300 feet of mine underneath that. It's a loose rock here, but it's not too bad of an angle. A little worse than walking up a steep slope on the outside. Yeah, same thing. Yeah, it almost seems like in the pit that either the big blast sealed off a bunch of these stopes going down, or they just decided to try to block it off. Yeah, not going to get anywhere going up here. So yeah, nice to have lots of light. It's pretty cool in here to light up this big stope. Fair size doesn't support the stope here. Oh, there's a tamping stick for dynamite. Oh, that's a shovel. Yeah, not a tamping stick at all. A shovel. Yeah, let's have a climb up that aluminum ladder there. Looks like a good solid ladder. Yeah. Even if the guy did fall down, just probably fall into that loose rock, wouldn't be too big of a deal. It is aluminum, right? Yep. It's a pretty old ladder though. It's not like the type you see these days. Probably a lot better made than the ones you see these days. Well, aluminum doesn't rust or corrode, so that's always the big advantage to aluminum. So we made it up the ladder, or wasn't any problem. It's a pretty good aluminum ladder. It's a fair ways down if you fall, but I didn't. There's a light up here, but no place to plug it in. I guess from the 70s when the ladder or whatever got left in here. Some geologists probably doing a survey in here. So from here we got this chute going down. And then it continues on up. And we'll check out some of these other areas higher up. So pretty substantial excavation in here. This is a big pillar there. Let's see what we can find. Probably just going to go right down to the water there again, I imagine. That's what's in the ore pass going down there. We can't get along the water, which I didn't expect we would be able to. And then we'll look up here and I'm going to show you this other pretty big compartment that they mined out here, stoped out. And then the rope continues on up here. And we'll go up here a little ways and we'll show you what we can see here. I wasn't too worried about that rope because if it failed, I was just going to go for a bit of a swim. There was nothing real nasty that was going to happen. And it was just hooked up to you really can't trust the ropes because you never know what they're tied to. In this case, it seemed to be tied to a pretty substantial piece of steel here. And there's another one going down. So I would say all that water's at the same level. So if the water just went down a tiny little bit, you could probably explore a lot of these levels, but right now you can't. I don't know what would cause it to go down. It's kind of funny in mines. These things sometimes over time just change on their own. So it never hurts to go back every couple of years or something and see if anything's changed. A rat made a nest. It looks like some grass there. So people always ask, what do rats eat in the mines? Well, they travel outside at night and they gather up vegetation and stuff. And they eat that. So I think this is right underneath the pit here. That goes up there and we know it's plugged solid because there's no place in the pit we can get down. So there's not any point in climbing down here. That air shaft, the shaft we came down, is the only place that I know of that you can come down into this hole. Ore chute going down. Well, it joins up to the shaft, I imagine. You can see they're pretty big stopes in here. How square that is pretty interesting. So that's definitely another. It looks like there's a tunnel that started right there, but it's flooded there too. And there is another adit that comes down the creek that we found, but we couldn't get very far and it was flooded. There's that tunnel there. And it looked like there was possibly another opening there. Pretty good solid rock. It goes up a long ways up the back. And yeah, this light seems to be just really kind of lights these stopes up. That's always the problem you have. You've got these huge stopes. 1,000 lumens is fine if you're just doing these small little areas, but these are big areas. So let's have a look and see what else we can find here. There's another flooded section. Looks very similar to the one we were just in. There would have been an ore chute right there, so there's a haul level there. Almost looks like you can see a piece of rail in there if you look closely at it. See if you can zoom down into there without having to walk down there. Looks like a piece of rail there. So you can see there's a fair bit of water there, and it probably connects to that last pool that we were just in. And then there's another big stope, and I'm pretty sure that was blocked off, and I think it goes right underneath where the main haul level is there. I would assume I got into there. I don't know. That's a little tricky because there's a steep cliff right there. And you don't want to fall in the water, but it looks like we're right underneath the pit here, so it continues on. There's another, it looks like there's another level going down, but I'm sure that'd be flooded as well. Yes. You can have a look at a few of these other things. See this ore chute here going down here. I would expect that would be flooded also. Everything seems to be flooded to the same level. Oh, there's a rope going down there. Oh, there's a rope going up. Well, you wouldn't want to trust that rope, even though it looks pretty good, but it doesn't matter. You're not going to get anywhere. It almost looks like a guy could maybe get into there and float along there. And we don't have any hip waders or anything like that. I'm not sure how far you'd be able to get. That'd be interesting maybe to come back here sometime and see if we can get into that level and see if we can float along there. We should have a look down there. Yeah, it's a pretty deep pool of water. Can kind of light this up a little bit. Yeah, it looks like there's a bunch of rocks, big rocks just underneath it. It's a little hard to tell the reflection. Not sure if that's a reflection or if we're actually looking down through the water. It looks like we're looking through the water. Yeah. So there's a tunnel going off that way. Well, obviously we're not getting into that. And it's just a big pool in here, so pretty fair sized. So this would have went down to a big shaft underneath there, where they had a big shaft that went right underneath this mine, and this is where they got all the material out. So yeah, we're able to light this up pretty good. We're not seeing any bats in here so far. Yeah. All right, so we're going to go down to some of the other levels and have a look at it. Pretty big room in here. You be careful that you don't slide down here into the water. It'll be pretty cold, I imagine. And we can't get into that tunnel there. Well, this is kind of interesting. For some reason, we're seeing a pile of really shiny looking ore here. It's just in one little pile. Well, it looks like silver or something. I don't know if it is. Huh. Really shiny looking stuff. Weird that it would just be in a pile like that. You know, there's nowhere where it would have fell from. There's a tin can there. I don't know where it would have came. Almost seems like somebody just piled it there. As you can see, we're looking down into that stope, and this is, let's see, this is the brightest setting that I have on my regular Fenix light and the light that I have in the camera. So as you can see, it doesn't light up those dark spaces very good. Now we're just going to try with this new light that we have here, the through the night. Let's see, we'll turn it on. Alright, so 2 click. Kind of a bit of a pain to get this to work right here. There we go, there's the turbo. So, alright, so without it you're seeing not too much. Look at how it lights that up now right to the very bottom there. Looks like there's all water underneath there. I'll go down and have a look at it. But it does a pretty good job at lighting up them stopes. You know, it's a fair ways down there. So I'm not sure what time of year we were here last time, but it's just about the 1st of July now. So the spring runoff is just kind of finished in this part of the country. So may have more water than we had here before. Let's go down and have a look at the water. Yeah, so we probably should come back here in the middle of summer sometime. We'll see what time of year we were here last time, but if you look at the stain on the rocks and everything, it looks like possibly the water was a lot higher because it's kind of damp and stained, so maybe the water is going down, and maybe it'll go down further. But, you know, basically this mine sure looks like it's mined out. You're seeing huge, stopes. I don't see any ore left. Looks like they really cleaned it out and was pretty extensively developed. And I really don't see anything left here other than the fact that in the pit there's lots of boulders and maybe some low-grade copper, but I don't think there's really anything underground here that I can see from what I know about mines that would be worth mining. It looks like it's been cleaned up pretty good. Didn't hear one that time. It's not really that steep there. But we know that's a wet level down there anyhow, so there's no really any point going down there. So I think that's about all we can really show you here. Just kind of cool actually, you know. Some big stoped out areas, some pillars, and then a whole bunch of chutes going down. And it'd be really exciting if the water did happen to go down just a little bit. And then maybe you can go along that hall level and get to the top where this big hoist was going down. It's been cemented off at the top, but should be able to see where the shaft goes straight down to lower levels. rope there, and it seemed to be in really good shape, so I thought I'd take advantage of this rope and take a trip down this ore chute. Use one on this rope, seemed to be in pretty good shape. And show you where we are. 200 level, I guess. Oh, there's a rat. Not gonna come bite us, is he? No, looks like he's running away. Good rat. We can pick our way up there. There's a ladder going up a big steep hole. Just gonna make our way up this sulfide slope here. Wonder what they done with the 1,000 explosive boxes they used to blast the big hole here. Huh. So it's not in pristine condition, but yeah, kind of reckon it by picking it up. Well, not kind of. I'm thinking I should take that. I don't know how old it would be. I didn't know. Yeah, so just a little raise they started and they abandoned. There's some wedges. Yeah, I'm always looking for things to add to my collections, eh? Alright, that's pretty black stuff though, eh? I don't know why it's so black. Some kind of mineral, I guess, eh? Icicles in here. They look crumbly. That's argillite. Argillite. Yeah, there's a bit of a seam there. So there's a big, we're going to see some big pillars here. So there's a big pillar in the middle of a room, stand right in the middle of it, and a whole bunch of ore chutes going down. And we expect they probably go down to the water, because everything seems to, down to the main hall level, probably going to the hoist. And I don't know if there's any point in really climbing too far down any of these, because we may, I just probably have to climb back up. And we know we're not going to get anywhere because we've been here. And we're going to show you, so we'll illustrate that point here. So there's a rock here, and we'll send it down. Should be able to hear a splash there. No, it didn't go far enough. So I did hear a splash earlier, but this is another mine called the Sunset. It's just on the other side of the Mother Lode, so it had a whole bunch of kind of interesting holes in it too that we looked at in another movie called The Sunset and the Mother Lode last couple of years ago. And this is the tailings pile. So tailings is from the concentrator. It's ground up stuff. And this is what's left of the town and the concentrator. And we'll just kind of fly. There's a lot of, quite a few concrete footings and stuff left. There's nothing above ground wood or anything like that that's left. It's all been destroyed or tore down. And then we're going to go underneath ground, and we're going to show you, there's still a bunch of underground stuff underneath the mill. And we'll show you what it looks like underneath the concentrator there. I've never seen that before. Huh. Oh, we're going to have to go under there and see what's under there. Wow. Not really goes anywhere, but it looks interesting all the same. Huh. So this must have been some kind of a loading chute, eh? Oh. Underneath this big building, big concrete chutes. And this doesn't look all that old. The last mine here in the 1970s, I think, is the last time they tried to do something here. So, oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Oh, big bins. No idea what this was, or a flotation thing maybe. I have no idea. It was not connected to anything else, but who would have known all this is under here? It's just a rat hotel now. That's pretty interesting how they made those doors, eh? You know, probably wouldn't open anymore. No, they're rusted shut. And that's the end over there. Pretty massive concrete structures here. They poured a lot of concrete in here, that's for sure. And must have been some kind of a separator or something in here, I don't know. There's some stairs going up there. And a bunch of other footings, all the equipment just been cut off with a torch. Blasted all the bolts off. And all these, sure what's all here. Some fill in here. There's another pad down there. So we know that the train came up here. There was a siding that came right to here. And the ore was trucked to the mill from here. And there was a little tramway that I guess they just took waste rock away from the mill.